for the Film Crickets with Jay Fortier and Chris Martineau. On this week's episode, as part of a month-long review of horror films from the 1980s and 1990s, Jay, Chris, and their special guest, Mike Shue, review the 1987 American fantasy slasher film A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. Hey, Mike, you look tired. Don't go to sleep. Does it stand the test of time? Let's find out. Your Film Crickets are on now.
Welcome, everybody, in this great, wide, wonderful, horrible, spooky world of ours. Welcome back to another fine episode of the Film Crickets. I am co-host Chris Martineau, joined by my lifelong friend,
Jay Fortier.
And anybody seen Mike Shue? Anybody seen poor Mike Shue? So look, here's the load. Go ahead, Jay.
No, just you were laughing. Just you could tell why you were laughing.
Yeah. It's a poor guy. I mean, so Mike Shue is cursed in our show, at least. We've had some technical difficulties with Mike the past couple of episodes. I think we've had one successful episode with Mike with no technical difficulties. Since then, we have had undiagnosed problems. Technical wise, he's making every effort. This poor guy. Like, he's making every effort to be on the Film Crickets because I love his takes. He's got a great demeanor. I love how excited and sour he gets at times, right? Native's prodigal son, Natix, prodigal son. But the fact of the matter is, he was supposed to come on the show today, and he's sick. The whole family is sick for whatever reason. So obviously, we're not going to do a live podcast with Mike. And we really wish him the best, and we're really sorry about that. So again, Mike, if you can hear us or you listen to this episode, nothing but love for you, bro. And we hope you feel better. You and your family feel better soon. So that's really too bad.
The show comes out Friday, and we're recording this on a Sunday. By all means, I hope at this point, by the time he actually hears this, he's better.
Yeah, I know.
That's the worst. Jeez, I hope it's not like that.
So,
all right, so let's we had to move on with this same movie because we promised a month of horror, and that we had already watched this one for we have another one next week, and that's it, baby. So it's been fun. It's been a good time. So Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. If you want to you could get to the, you can ask me if you'd like.
I do.
I watched it.
Absolutely.
And all that stuff, but then get to the rundown. We'll get rolling from here. All right.
So, Jay, the reason I want to do this is because this movie for me, I'll start. So I like to start with asking, when's the last time you saw the movie prior to rewatching it for our assignment this week, which was, Dream Warriors. It just gives some context. So I'd like to start, and the reason I want to is because this movie, I don't know you, Jay, but like you say, you know all these songs from the 80s and who makes them because it's like a feeling, right? Like you can tell me who sang, I don't even want to do it, and you had the trivia show with Steve, so you know the deal, and you have this weird photographic memory about music and when things come out, and I asked you to explain it to me, and it says it's a feeling that I have that like an emotional, not emotional like I'm going to cry, but you just know what it felt like at that time and you can associate with that. This movie, Dream Warriors, to me is the only one that I can almost smell it. I can smell this movie. I can smell my grandmother's house. I can smell bringing this video over to your house, bringing this video over to a friend of mine, Brian McMillan's house. And me just bringing this movie around and showing as many people as possible. So to me, I can smell everyone's house. And not that you have a smelly house, Jay. I'm not getting at that. But everybody has their own kind of, you know what I mean? The house aroma is different. And you don't know it because you live in it. And to me, it almost has that sensation because I watched the shit out of this movie. It was another one of my grandmother's pirated classics. I had this with, I think Nightmare 2 was before it. And then Nightmare 3 was on the second half of the videotape that she pirated from the local video store and made copies and dubbed copies for everybody. I watched it over and over again. It really sang to me at the time, and we'll get into why later, but I just really dug it, and I made sure everyone I knew saw this movie. So that's how I remember it. I don't know how true that is, but that's my memory of it. I mean, I could
That's
be
all
wrong.
it works,
but,
man. That's all you need.
Yeah, yeah.
Really.
So Jay,
I mean,
where are
there's
you?
no need to like say, well, oh, geez, that's not true. I guess you know what I mean. Like because the feeling's great, so stick with it. As far as myself, probably I want to say maybe 90s since I've seen it in full. Like it's been a long time. But I watched it a bunch, and I did see it when it came out on videotape. I remember. All right, Casey. I think we should talk about for a second that we did not. Well, many people in this world don't like Part 2, and I know it gets referred to as like the gayest horror movie ever, and it's not even my words. They said that on a specific documentary that. It is basically like homoerotic. Sorry, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes the tongue don't follow.
Funny. From the gay and lesbian community, they vote it as the gayest horror movie ever.
Right.
So that's why
it's
we
not
can say
like
that.
I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Apparently, and it's funny that they didn't even realize the leading guy that they cast was gay. Who came out later, but he's doing like a dance, and they feature that dance in apparently a lot of gay clubs or whatever, like all in the documentary. Now, but like besides that, like a lot of people didn't like Part 2 because it was such a departure from Part 1. All right, Part 1 was dark, and even if there was humor in it, it was still like like you took it kind of seriously, like, and you were scared shitless when you watched it. A lot of people were very, very afraid of this film. And Part 2, yes, there were scary things, there were gross things, like when he pulls his part of his skull off, and he's like, "You've got the body, and I've got the brain," and it's pulsating. That's pretty cool. But it was weird. Like that movie had a really, it's like Part 1 was dark and gritty. And Part 2 was almost like a cartoon. It was so colorful.
Sure.
Bright, vibrant colors. So in that sense, it's a total departure. And it was just timing was weird. The direction was odd. Things nothing felt right. So people were mad at it. It was called Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. So I think that's why they asked Wes Craven to at least get involved. So he got involved in the writing on the third one.
Yep.
So I was really excited to see that one, even though I didn't hate Part 2 when I saw it. I just this is the vibe that everybody had about it. So I was really excited that
there are worse horror movies, but I think it was bright, and then they broke canon. Like you had even Robert Englund says for that movie, like, why am I coming out in the real world? Like there's a point where he's at the pool party and he's like in the physical realm. That doesn't make any sense at all, like a bit. So why would you even do that? But again, you're almost willing to accept that Jason Voorhees aged 28 years, in between 1 and 2, even though no years passed, and you're not willing to accept the rules of the Freddy universe, because the Freddy universe has rules, and it broke the rules. And I agree, it's fine for what it is, but it's not. It's a different energy entirely. So sorry if I just want to interject that. Yeah,
but I do have to show you a shirt that my wife bought me over.
That's cool.
They're all having a birthday cake, I guess, or a cake for Michael Myers.
Yep.
You can see Freddy's holding a piece of cake, and so all three. We've actually covered.
That's true.
Three movies this month from these guys. So
that's true.
And the final one that we're going to do is total departure from these guys, but
that's right.
So, anyways, So, long story short, I just I saw that on videotape, and I was very excited, and it paid off in spades. And by the way, as we have mentioned, I don't know if we mentioned, but Dokken was wrote the theme song. Called Dream Warriors. It's off of their album Back for the Attack. It's also, I guess, from the soundtrack here. And apparently that was the first music video to be featured on a video cassette, according to the documentary.
Yes.
So, did you also have that from the pirated thing?
Yeah, no, I did not. I do not recall that. I will say, however, that I did not have any cable in my house until I moved away for college. So, and then once I moved away, suddenly my parents decided to get cable. Thanks, guys. But I had a videotape of music videos that, again, the aforementioned Brian McMillan would stay up late and watch Headbangers Ball for me, and then dub and record all of those videos. So from that, I was exposed to the Dream Warriors one, the next one on Freddy 4, which was Vinnie Vincent Invasion, and then a bunch of other stuff like that. Love, not a good song.
Well, whatever.
But
I like it.
it's okay, but there's no, what's the guy's name? George, what's his face?
George Lynch.
George Lynch. Very good. Very good, that George Lynch.
For Dokken, for the Dream Warriors. Yeah. And obviously, and Don Dokken singing the lead vocals with the really, really high notes. He even said it was too high then.
Yeah.
It was too high for me to sing then. He goes,
right.
I cannot sing that now.
Yeah. And please don't try. It's okay.
Yeah.
But and not only, Dokken, and we're going to do the one sentence startup on this, but Dokken is all over this movie.
Oh yeah.
They got the last song. They have the opening credit song, which is off of the Tooth and Nail album, and one of the characters in the psychiatric ward is wearing a Dokken T-shirt, and I don't that's not like they were Motley Crue, like they weren't as popular as any of those guys.
They were big. They were big.
They were big, but
they weren't Motley Crue big. No, they were. I don't think they were headlining arenas like Motley Crue was or anything like that. And when I say arenas, I mean basketball arenas, not football arenas. So all right, let's get to the rundown, and
here we go.
All right, this will be fun.
Okay, here we go. So we got Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors, came out in 1987, coming in once again at about 90 minutes, 1 hour and 36 minutes. It's directed by Chuck Russell, written by Wes Craven, Bruce Wagner, and Frank Darabont. Frank Darabont responsible for, he directed The Green Mile. He directed The Shawshank Redemption. He was a showrunner on Walking Dead. He is very difficult to work with, from what I hear. He has sued his own company for rights to his own material.
You said he's the director, or no?
He was the director of. He wasn't the director of the Walk. He was director of the first episode of The Walking Dead. Oh no, Chuck Russell directed this.
Okay, because
Frank Darabont did not.
Because apparently he was tough too.
Yeah, he's hard to work with as well. Yes. Anyway, so we star, of course, Robert Englund, Heather Langenkamp, and we see Patricia Arquette comes along.
Her debut.
Rodney Eastman. Yeah, that's right. It is her debut. I apologize.
No.
And many other people who. Oh, Larry Fishburne. We cannot forget Lawrence Fishburne is in this. John Saxon is in this, and a host of other players that have been in one movie or another. The tagline is, a psychiatrist familiar with knife-wielding dream demon Freddy Krueger helps teens at a mental hospital battle with the killer who is invading their dreams. There is your rundown. There is far more to this movie than that, but that's what we're here to discuss.
That's still a good
Once again, we have, absolutely, once again, we have possibly the worst hospital ever in terms of security, in terms of care, in terms of any of that stuff. So anyhow, so let's get to it. So I will say right off the bat, so we're not going to go scene by scene, but I will say right off the bat, Chuck Russell, whoever was in charge of this movie, has the aesthetic down. The creepy revisiting of the Elm Street house at the beginning, it's all run down. A lot of spider webs, a lot of darkness. We have a tricycle squeaking in and melting for no reason. We have phantom children singing the Freddy song, 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. We have established the sleep world again, which is terrifying in and of itself. You got to stay awake, that sort of thing. We also have, so it's scary in that it's a return to that, I don't know, it's a return to that kind of scary gothic, just creepy image feel. Like there's so much creepy in this. Even when we go from the house, which is fallen down and dusty and gross, in the dream world, that is. I'm talking about everything in the dream world. But then when you go to this, what's more foreboding than a giant mental hospital made of brick that looks like it was built in the 1890s or something like that.
Yeah.
So we've returned to Freddy 2 was this kind of high school drama. Many of the scenes took place in a high school, and now we've moved out of the high school. We're growing up a little bit. We're still with teenagers, but we're putting them in a very uncomfortable situation. So I would commend it for just being more creepy than usual. What do you think?
Absolutely. Like I said, people wanted what they had in the first place. And, you know, of course, the fact that even though he's always had like jokey moments like here and there when he's tortured, you know, like for instance, the tongue on the phone in part 1 that says, "I'm your boyfriend now." Like, you know, the tongue like comes out of the phone. So funny stuff, you know, with a sick, twisted manner. But of course, later on, like it just evolved into almost like he's a damn stand-up comic. You know, like,
right, and and the one-liners are fine, and we have more one-liners in Dream Warriors. You know, "Want to Get High," of course, the famous
Death TV. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, let's get to that. We'll get to that a little bit. Like we don't have to get to that right now, but like that, I know what you're saying. That is what a lot of people think that's their favorite ever. Like out of all the kills.
Yeah, I don't know, but I like a lot of them. But it just seems like they're going to more one-liners. But then after this, yes, they become one-liners that are supposed to be jokey. And that's kind of stupid. I mean, at least the ones in that there's more one-liners in this movie, but they're not as jokey. They're just kind of there. When you're suddenly going, whatever it is, they check in but they don't check out, and like all that garbage. It's just becomes a little lame. So we have. So once again, we're following Patricia Arquette, who I forgot, and I love this. She has like powers?
Well, she didn't even know it much. Like, she used to be able to do it more when she was a child, I guess. And then, she becomes this, she gets taken to, it makes it look like she, tries to commit suicide because like he actually slices her wrist, and then, you know, her mom walks in and notices that her, wrists are cut. So then that's why she ends up at the hospital. By the way, her mom, the nicest, most attentive mom. Hi, get to bed, huh? I got a guy. I got a guy. Stop being so dramatic. Like, I know you're having nightmares. I'm sorry. Good night.
What is it about? Can I just, and I won't spend long on this. Every movie we've had so far where the children are kind of left on their own, except for Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter is Dead. All the other films where there is a babysitter or there is someone where like the children are home alone, like latchkey kids kind of situations, these parents are going out to parties until like 2 a.m. That I am not. Who does that? 2 a.m. They got in at 1 and they're like fixing scotch and shit. Like it's 1 a.m. Like, I don't know. Right now, I don't make it to 1 a.m. I'm done at like 10. You know what I mean? Even if I had a couple of drinks, like I'm not staying up till 1. They're like getting in. All I could think of. So the woman's like, she's got a man downstairs that she doesn't want to leave waiting. It's 1 a.m. and it goes, "Honey, where do you," or whatever her name is, "where do you keep the bourbon?" And the only thing I thought is, Jesus Christ, I'd have a lot of acid reflux if I drank bourbon right now. Like, that's all I can think of, because I get bad reflux if I drink after a certain time. So it's like, who are these people? Like, Adventures in Babysitting, Halloween, this one, they're all partying until like 1 a.m. What's happening?
Well, you know, when we had Keith Coogan on, he had talked about both parents being working, and which was not typical for, you know, like earlier, like in the 60s or whatever. So like a whole set of latchkey kids were born into the 70s and 80s, and that got worked into the storylines of stuff, you know. No, I'm saying, so he made sense there about what you just asked that question, and it's like, because the parents were like, I guess we're doing this, and the kids are doing that. You know, so that's all. So it was not. This was not the age of helicopter parents,
and that's fine. I'm more remarkable that the stamina of these older people. I mean, they're my age. I can't do shit at 1 a.m. That just doesn't happen. I don't know. That's so funny. That's seriously.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. No. So so she ends up at the hospital. because they, looks like a suicide. She didn't, but that's how she comes in contact with Heather Langenkamp or Nancy from the 1st film. Nancy is now like a professional psychiatrist or something like that's gonna that specializes in dreams or whatever. Anyway, she shows up as Patricia Arquette's character's flipping out, ready to like stab people with a scalpel, and she starts doing the chant because they're going to put her under. Yep. She starts doing the weird little "Freddy's coming for you" chant, and then Nancy comes in and says, her little line that makes her take a step back, and they become, close or whatever. So Patricia Arquette now is having a dream at one night, dreaming about Freddy, and then freaks out and calls out for Nancy, and Nancy basically falls into her chair and goes to sleep, and so she has the ability to pull people into her dream. And it's
a good thing that Nancy wasn't awake, because she'd be screwed.
Right.
That's some nice timing, if I'm not mistaken. By the way, if I can, Nancy was a senior in high school in the first one
2 years ago.
Can we assume that?
3 years ago.
All right. Yeah. And we are to assume that chronologically, that in the world of Freddy 1, that was 1984, and in the world of Freddy 3, this is 1988.
Well, you know what? She was so it was 87, even less.
87.
So she was so proficient.
So she's got, I guess. So she's a practicing psychiatrist, which is a medical degree within 3 years. Okay, sure. And I like how they just they hire her. It's her first day, and they're just letting this hospital. They just let people walk around wherever. It don't matter. No security. Just what you want to go see some people, you go for it. Lawrence Fishburne says you look okay. You go ahead right in. It's the fact that they hire her, and I don't know what her job is, because what's the man in this? I don't remember names ever.
Well, by the way, folks, full disclosure, because we had technical difficulties about this film, we were supposed to do this 2 weeks ago.
Sure.
So we watched it 2 weeks ago. So some of our
Neil Gordon.
Is that his name in the movie?
Yeah, Neil. So Neil is the other. There's two other doctors on this one wing with the 6 kids that tried to kill themselves. No. The fact of the matter is, they hire her because I get why they need Nancy back in the movie, because they need Nancy back.
Well, people want
because 2 was. People wanted Nancy back. That's fine. So you write in a way to get her involved, because she obviously knows Freddy from inside and out, figuratively and literally. She knows him inside and out. So you got to bring Nancy back. But I don't know what her job is at the place, because Neil, the other guy, is also a psychiatrist. Then there's the Nurse Ratched character. Not Nurse Ratched, but she's the one in the actual white thing. So there's everybody's running group, they have group therapy sessions. So the Nurse Ratched, I don't remember her name, but there's a bitchy old nurse that's in charge of it and thinks that all kids should be punished because they should be punished and blah, blah, blah. She's the conservative voice, the Reagan voice of the whole movie, right? That kids that step out of line deserve whatever they get kind of deal. So she runs group one time. Then another time Neil runs group. Neil can do hypnotism to put everybody under, and another time Nancy can do hypnotism. What is happening? Who does what in this movie? I was waiting for Lawrence Fishburne to say, yes, I can prescribe medication.
Take the blue pill or the red pill?
Yeah. Nice. Nice. You know what I mean? So I'm just pointing out the things that when I was a kid never dawned on me, and then as an adult you go, what the hell does Nancy do here? What's her job?
And by the way, she didn't even get to do the group therapy hypnotism until halfway through the film. And by the way, she obviously made a connection with what's Patricia Arquette's name?
Hold on. Patricia Arquette's name is Kristen.
All right, Kristen. So she makes a connection with Kristen, and obviously proves that she knew it was about Freddy, because she comes in, and as Kristen's doing Kristen. I'm already forgetting her damn name.
Kristen. That's right.
As Kristen's doing the chant, the little nursery rhyme, Nancy finishes it to prove that. So that's obvious. We're a connection here. I'm talking about Freddie here. All right.
Right.
She doesn't get to tell the other group that she knows Freddie until like halfway through the film, and they're like, "Don't humor us," like we're not in the mood. And she's like, "He's very burned. He's got a green and white sweater," and they're like, "Holy crap!" Like, but it took this long. Like, I mean, obviously, she should have known to make this connection with these kids right away. It's well, I gotta wait till this weird group therapy where we all get together. And by the way, when the doctor is hypnotizing everybody, hypnotizes himself into a sleep.
Yes. Yes.
Way to go, Doc. You hypnotized yourself.
Yeah, I know. You done played yourself, player. No, yeah, it's exactly. And he's just, now he's, wait, am I in the world? Because when you're in the dream world, you can now like have powers and whatnot. I want to talk before we start like getting into why this movie is cool, or why I know I liked it back in the day and may or may not like it now. We got to say something about this hospital. First of all, it's another lousy hospital. They have the worst situation ever. We have a kid. They have I guess what you would call a suicide watch wing. Okay. And Lawrence Fishburne's kind of the heavy. He's the security guy. He's the orderly. Make sure the kids are where they're supposed to be. He's cool, right? But he's tough, and they got to follow the rules and whatnot. But the kids that are there have no business all being in the same ward. One kid is there because he sleepwalks. What? Another kid is there. Why is the nerd kid there? What did he do? He just can't walk. Like, what's his problem? He doesn't. What does he need therapy for?
I assume
he just can't walk.
I assume they're all there because they are showing signs of whatever, like freaky behavior because of the dream things that they're probably all experiencing at home.
All right, maybe,
like,
but I mean, the only. All right. Okay.
Sorry, no, I'm just saying, like they all like obviously emotionally disturbed. Send them to the hospital. So they
right. That's the thing. Like we're sweeping the kids under the rug, but even then, of the group, only like 3 of them are under any kind of distress. One of them is the junkie. The other guy is the African American guy. Yo, crew guy, put that guy. Who I used to say that was like a tagline in high school. Just he's a crew guy, put that. He's obviously just angry. Because reasons, I'm not sure why. And then the sex addict, I guess, I don't know, maybe. But it just seemed like they had no business. The kid was a sex addict.
The one that had no voice.
Yeah, was that him?
Yeah.
No, he died. The one with the marionettes.
Oh well,
he was the sleepwalker.
Yeah, he was a sleepwalker.
He was a sleepwalker.
The one with no voice was the one that was into chicks, but he had no voice. Like,
yeah.
Until he was in the
but he had the teardrops. That means he killed somebody, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like,
I know.
Like, what are the odds?
I know.
He's like, he's so like, boy next door. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he has that like
total country club.
Yeah, so there's zero chance that he was killing anyone.
Yep. Teardrop.
Yeah.
It just seems like they're there for the absolute wrong reasons. I mean, okay, maybe but they're not in any. I don't know. I don't see why you just like Patricia Arquette had sliced wrists. Okay, one's a junkie. Okay, what's with the wizard nerd kid? I mean, it's just that,
dude. You belong here because you're in a wheelchair.
You're in a wheelchair, and you deserve not to be with the rest of us. What the hell is that about?
What I like is though, real quick, the first death that we see is the sleepwalker guy wakes up, he's in his dream, and Freddie rips out his like veins, and he's treating him like a marionette, and brings him
totally cool.
Yeah, brings
such a cool effect.
Oh yeah, and brings him through a door, physically through a door, like a ghost, right?
Yep.
Sends him up to a tower. I don't know how he got through
Yep.
the door because his physical body got through the door.
Mhm.
I know in Dream World you can get through the door like a ghost, but not the human body. You
Yeah.
can't pass through
No.
solid matter, right? So,
Nope.
anyways, he's up on the tower, and the mute kid sees him. The mute kid sees him up there, and he can't tell anybody. So he's roommates with the kids in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
By the way, they put him to bed with his glasses on. Like, it's time for bed. They just
What?
put him down.
Totally
Like,
normal.
Everyone sleeps with their glasses, right?
Of course.
So, he picks him up, and that's who, he looks outside, and they're like yelling his name, they're screaming, for the guy, and he's just standing there, like, nobody sees the veins or anything, like, they just see him going like this, and then he gets tossed because Freddy up above gives like the scissors and cuts the veins.
Which is
it's really
totally cool. But I mean, from a logical perspective, I don't know. I'm not trying to assign logic to a fantasy movie. I get it, but this hospital is bullshit. How do you let the patients even close to something that will get you to the roof? That should have like 12 padlocks on it, and Freddy can't undo locks.
Well, Freddy also can't make him go through solid. He just
through walls.
He went right through.
Right.
Well, and I like this. This is responsible. The kid who's mute comes in, and he's like,
Yeah.
Now, he obviously doesn't speak, and you know this,
Right.
All right? Go back to bed. Go back to bed. You're like ignoring the fact that he actually wants something, right? He's flipping out. So he takes a tray and slams it down, starts like beating on all the doors to get everybody's attention. But it's like, why in a crisis hospital are you not taking a kid seriously who's flipping out and saying, I need you, and he can't say it. So like if he's flailing his arms, follow him. Don't say, go back to bed, you little idiot. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know. Because in case you haven't noticed, if you're in crisis, you know what the solution to that is? You should just calm down. Oh wait, I never thought of that. Wait, I'll just calm down. I know. Thank you for telling me that. I wasn't sure. Oh, thank you. So glad I'm in this hospital. That's the most bullshit hospital ever. Yeah, grow up, kid. Suck it up, kid. Also, it's the worst hospital ever because you have people that are obviously on suicide watch, but they all have belts. You let them have cigarettes, like things to burn yourself with. They let them have cigarettes. They let them have belts. They're unattended all the time.
Right.
All the time. They're like the doors can be closed and locked. What? That's not okay in that kind of situation.
Right. Well, and the girl,
because the people need help.
And the girl that smoked, they were like, how the cigarette burns? And she's like, menthol, regular. Like she's pointing out the burns that she does to keep herself awake.
Right.
That would be like, okay, no more cigarettes. Like you can't have any more.
Yep.
Burning
Ever.
yourself.
Ever.
That's it.
Yep. Never, ever.
As long as you're in this hospital, you're going to go through nicotine withdrawals because you're not getting any more cigarettes.
We understand that you're addicted to crack. You can have one rock. Fine. You know what I mean? That's a terrible idea.
All right. Exactly.
So,
no, but that's the girl who's obsessed with watching TV. She wants to be an actress, so she's always focused on TV. Now, like I was saying earlier, this is everyone, like a lot of people's favorite, mine included, of the deaths in the movies. She's falling asleep, and it first starts with her watching Dick Cavett interviewing like Zsa Zsa Gabor, I think.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And then Dick Cavett is asking her, like this, that, and the other, and he goes, you know what I'm wondering? Who gives a fuck what you think? Like, because he turns into Freddy. So obviously you realize, and then she goes, huh? And then all of a sudden, Freddy starts popping out of the TV with antennas on his head, like as if he's part of the TV. He's Jennifer. It's your big break in TV. And he grabs her. Yep. The best part is he grabs her, picks her up, and the TV is like a high wall-mounted TV. And he says, welcome to prime time, bitch, and brings her in, and she gets electrocuted. Yep. Now, the funniest part is Nobody wonders how she got up that high in order to launch herself into the TV, because it's a wall-mounted old classic TV that is probably like 6 feet off the ground or close to it. So you not only would have to get up, but in.
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you need, and I'm talking, I'm talking to a physics professor.
Yeah.
What are the odds that you could not only run, but launch yourself to a point where your whole like head and everything else could get inside the TV in order to die? They just go out. It's very strange.
Let's not forget too that, and I hear where you're coming from with that. From again, we're not trying to assign science to.
It's fun to do,
but it's funny. No, I get it. But it's like also part is like you don't realize how glass is fragile, but those old cathode ray TV, that glass was real thick. So even if people thought she was running and jumping up into the TV, there is no way you're gonna do that with your head and go into it. Like you'd crack it and bounce off. You're not gonna go that far into it. Also, let's look at like how uncouth this hospital is. This woman dies horribly by electrocution in a TV, which then short circuits. They remove the TV, but they leave like the black burn stain on the wall. Like get Larry Fishburne, get yourself a ladder, go to Lowe's, get the matching paint, and you paint over that. Come on now. Like, that's crazy pants. Why would you leave that?
That's like a reminder.
Come on.
To not launch yourself into the TV.
Right. Holy moly.
Right. But and then they have like the group therapy, right? Where the mute kid who can speak, well, he doesn't speak yet, I don't think, right?
He only speaks at the very end.
Right.
That's his big saving power.
So, but he is in the dream, in the group therapy. Oh no, I'm sorry, I have the wrong person. The girl that's the girl with the track marks. You know, the drug addict.
Yes,
she's the one that
the heroin addict.
Dies, right? In group session.
Yes.
Okay.
No, she doesn't die till later.
Well, who's the one that
she gets her powers?
The nurse.
Oh, shoot, I don't remember. Moving on.
Oh, well,
go ahead.
Well, my point is, they had a hypnosis session. Apparently, because they didn't talk about it. But if somebody dies, or flatlines in the middle of a hypnosis, you're gonna blame the hypnotist?
Yeah, right. It's your fault.
You didn't ask for this. You did not. You did not ask permission to hypnotize the patients, and one of them died, and now you're fired. And it's like, wait a minute, whoa, what? How the hell is this person?
What I would,
you know what I mean? Like,
that's the Nurse Ratched character must know that when these kids go under, that they're now in physical danger because of Freddy. So then why are you?
Because nobody believes it. Nobody believes the kids.
Yeah, I know.
So, it's like one of those classics. Kids are all dumb.
I know.
You're just emotional. Grow up.
Yeah.
So,
come on.
Yeah. No. It's. But either way, we're poking fun at it, but we love it. It's
sure.
So much fun.
Oh yeah.
They really captured a lot of good stuff with this. By the way, you don't hear the Dokken theme till the ending credits, which is
It's true.
So John Saxon,
yes,
which he played her father in the first movie too, right?
Yes.
So he makes an appearance again, and they got to go basically find. They think if they go find because there's this elderly nun that keeps appearing to the doctor, and you find out that Freddy was born by she got locked in with all the maniacs over the Christmas holiday. Jesus Christ! Yeah. Oh, wow.
So wait, I want to explore that for a moment. So we have this nun. So it's such a good idea, but it's pandering all at the same time. So we have to have Freddy had a mother, because even every serial killer had a mother, right? They're not immaculately conceived. So he had a mother who birthed him at one point, right? So someone had to get impregnated. So we're gonna make it a nun, of course, who was raped by 1,000 maniacs on Christmas Day. Like, it's what else? Why don't you just put her like on like a paralyzed nun on Christmas Day, raped by 1,000 people? And I just love, like, it's just so much fit into one thing. Like, how horrible can we make this? And they pretty much nailed it, because that's about as bad as it gets. You know what I mean? At least it wasn't like in a church on the altar where the 1,000
No, that would be
rapes
a
happened.
Pinhead thing. Pinhead would do
I
it,
know,
yeah.
right? But it's so, I've always said, and even as a child, even in 1987, I said, the bastard son of 1,000 maniacs. You just need one sperm.
It could have
Like,
been.
it's just
It might have
one
been
sperm.
100.
It's not like there's
It might have been 100, but still, yeah, I know what you're saying.
No, I think it said, but it's. I mean, I know it's a cool line, but you go, it's really just one sperm. It doesn't matter what happens after that. Now, granted, we're bringing up, because we have all these Catholic ties, because it was a nun, the 1,000 maniacs just makes it. He's demonic. Like, he is not only a serial killer because of his upbringing or because of genetics. Like, he is just bad news all around. That's why he kind of does Satan's, it's kind of implied he's doing Satan's dirty work a little bit, right? By punishing these children, even though the children didn't do anything wrong. It's their parents who did stuff wrong, and the children are going to pay the price, sort of thing, right? So that's the kind of getting a view of the politics. But it's kind of so ridiculous that happens. And in a later Freddy movie, I think we meet Dad. Is it Alice Cooper?
That's, you know what? Nah, even if it is, I don't know. Like,
it doesn't.
At this point, I'm not as strong with this series.
Oh, I'm not either. Not after
this
one. Well, not after 4.
Can just sort of say, okay, maybe. Like, like with those. I'm not a big fan, but.
Yeah, no, I believe we meet Dad at one, like, which doesn't make any sense because there's 1,000 maniacs, but, so yeah, it goes way beyond that, and so we're kind of trying to shoehorn this kind of religiosity. Now, the point I'm making here is that at some point they decide they've got to kill Freddy, but they can't just kill Freddy in the dreamscape because he's just going to come back. We have to give Freddy, quote, a proper burial. Right, they're going to go look for Freddy's remains because they never buried it, because the parents of Elm Street just like burned him and then just threw his body somewhere. And so in order for Freddy to be at rest, he needs a proper burial. What the fuck does that matter? If he's got like with holy water and like, no, we got to put him in the ground because the trunk of a car simply isn't going to be at rest. I think it's pretty safe to say that Freddy is never, ever, ever going to be at rest. Doesn't matter if you put him in the ground. It doesn't matter if you put a cross on the top. It just doesn't matter. I don't know what the significance of that was. Well, like, that's going to be the big thing.
And
you know what I mean?
And to be the goofy devil's advocate guy,
Sure, bring it.
What I'm saying is, like, it's gonna, like, every movie needs some sort of a possible victory ending in a way.
Sure.
So they have to come up, like, just like in part 6 of Friday the 13th, at the end, Tommy's going, I have to put Jason back to his original resting place, and that's what's going to stop him. Even though at the beginning, all I was going to do was light him in fire and stab him in the chest with a wrought iron fence. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't going to kill him.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to take him to the lake. I was going to light him on fire. Right. But like halfway through,
Big difference.
I just apparently, now I got to take him to the lake and drown him. So every movie needs some sort of a thing where they go, aha. So in this one, it was like, I know what we do. We make it so that we have to dig, bury his bones, and that's going to stop him. But, spoiler alert, when they do stop him, that does work. You see light coming through him, and he disappears or whatever. At the end, you see the little popsicle stick house that Kristen made that is resembling of the original Elm Street house. A little light comes on inside. So it's like, Freddy's still there. Right. He's still alive, type of thing. It's always like, they had to sort of end it somehow. But they did a big surprise in my book.
Yeah, they did.
On how, one of the ways they ended it, and that is taking out Nancy. Heather Langenkamp's character. They killed her off. So like, yay, she's back. Oh, sorry. Right in the middle of saying she's back. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, she was there for the full movie, but like, she's definitely not going to appear as Nancy in any others.
Right. Also, the other surprise is that and this is from the people that the documentaries on this, so this is not me. But the African American lives at the end, which is surprising. That never happens. They always seem to get rid of the African American before the end of the movie. He makes it to part 4 for about 2 minutes.
Was ahead of, yeah, I know, the poor bastard. So it was ahead of its time.
Yep, absolutely. So we gotta confront the elephant in the room here, Jay, before we kind of like decide where this thing goes, and that is the Dream Warriors. So the whole point of this film is that, oh God, the first 2 movies, everybody's a victim, right? And then Nancy, in the first one, which was great, says, I'm giving you all of your power because you're feeding off of my fear. All I need to do is not be afraid because you're not real. You're not a thing. You're a ghost. You're not even a ghost. You're a dream. So I can control my own dreams. And that's kind of how the first one ends. Second one ends, I don't even remember how they finished that thing off. But again, there was a lot of people kind of being terrorized. And it took till the end for anyone to get any chutzpah. In this movie, we have this moment where, we're in the dream world. If Patricia Arquette, Kristen, can bring us into the dream realm, which apparently is just a realm like in Doctor Strange. Like it's not just Kristen's realm, it's everybody's. Not too sure how that works.
They're all in hers.
That doesn't matter. Is it hers? So. Okay. It seemed like there was like a dream plane at some point, but whatever. So they all say, look, we can take control of our dreams and we can now have powers, just like, which is a great idea, a super idea. So the misfit, oh man, the misfit who can't walk is suddenly now a wizard. And boy, you thought D&D didn't look cool before. This kid makes it look 10 times less cool. Holy shit. I mean, there's 2 scenes where he's playing D&D with his friends and the other people like in the real world, and he makes it look like the worst thing ever. And now and now he says, and good for you that's your dream. Like you can walk, and B, you can like cast spells and shit. So that's cool, right?
They gave him like a cape with a hood, like not a hood,
a vampire hood,
vampire like collar. Oh man, like,
what is that about? So they have that, and then and the other one, the junkie, she's kind of punk rocky, and she's got a cool character. She's got a cool attitude, but her thing is, she turns into this punk rocker with a wicked awesome hair, straight out of the '80s, and has switchblades, and she's I can't even. I'm beautiful and bad, and the way she says it is terrible. Yeah. But it's a good idea. It's a super good idea. Like, we're not going to wait for him to come to us. We're going to go get him, and it's dangerous, but we're not going to wait. We're going to attack in his realm. Even though Nancy had booby traps in Nightmare on Elm Street 1, this is different. Like, we're going in, and we're going to hit him mano a mano. The African-American Kincaid was into fitness, so he was super strong. And to me, as a kind of nerdy person, not of great stature, and certainly not, skinny back in the day, not so much now, you wish you could do that. Like, that's what you want to do to the bullies. You want to get the bullies in your dream world so that you can be more powerful than them, or at least have a little more control, a way to even the playing field. And that, to me, was the draw of this movie, because Freddy's a bully. He feeds on your fears. That's why I don't like bullies, right? They feed on the thing you're afraid of. And it's so hard, my parents used to say, well, just don't show them you're afraid and they'll leave you alone. You know how hard that is when someone's, got 6 inches on you and they're muscular and you're this little pipsqueak carrying your clarinet to school.
It's easy for an arm.
Absolutely. Carrying your... Yeah. Absolutely. So it's like, you can't, I know what you're saying. I understand the lesson now as an adult, but as a kid, you don't get that lesson. You're like, if only I had some powers. And it seems to me in the dream world, you can have those powers. So to me, and I didn't even realize it, but to me, that's kind of why I like that movie. Even though a lot of the people that get the superpowers in the dream world, as terrible as it is, most of them die.
Well, because they get separated,
not all of them.
So they don't even really get to tag team them like we all expected, and even the big tag team that we thought was going to happen didn't really happen because the only thing that really worked was the holy water being administered from the outside at the when they find his bones at a auto junkyard, and they fight a skeleton. The skeleton gets
that has knives. The skeleton has knives.
And, by the way,
why is the skeleton walking around, and why are his fingers knives?
And by the way, there's no way on earth they could be there because in part one, Mom pulled him out of the boiler at her own home.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, is that stupid?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Unless he had multiple, but I'm just gonna say no. They took him from him because you know what I mean. You don't like you don't kill the serial killer with the finger knives, right? And then go to his home and just go get the other ones, but we'll bury him with the originals. Yeah. So he still has them. Either way, I mean, well, listen, we're just doing what we do. We pick on it, and even if we like it, So, that's such a blast. It was. But I'm saying, like, it is kind of shitty that they didn't get a chance to even fight him as warriors. No. Like, they tried. They got him for a second. I know. It didn't really, like, pan out.
I kind of like that, though, in that it was one of the times, at least in this viewing now, I realized that even though they gave them the nerdy kids or the misfit kids, misfit toys, the misfit kids gave them powers, which was gimmicky. To give them, and particularly the powers they gave them, were absolutely gimmicky and corny. But it still didn't matter because Freddy still whooped up on him, which I think was kind of neat.
It's his home.
I know, but it's still kind of.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's why he's so like it's my house. What do you want?
Yep.
I know you.
I know. You're right.
You brought some powers. Yeah, it's great. I got more.
Super.
I've been here longer.
I know. I've been. Yeah. No shit. So, all right.
So,
cool.
All right. Well, let's do Final Judgment, man.
I'm into it.
It's time now for Final Judgment. Are you ready to rubber stamp this bitch? Here's the Final Judgment.
All right. Well, now we're going to come to the part of the program we decide if this movie stands up to the test of time. That's the whole point. We've poked at it, we looked at it, we laughed at it, we said it was cool, we said it wasn't cool, and now we got to decide whether or not it holds up. So, Jay, you want to go first?
Sure.
All right.
I want to say because I think the first one holds up so well, and this is the best sequel. It's the best match, to the first. Is it equal? No, but what I'm saying is it's the best thing that you could get as close to. If you like part one, and you kind of have an idea, I would say absolutely. If you haven't seen part one, watch part one first. Then you can skip two and go right to three. It's as if two didn't even happen at all. So it's like this is the sequel. Basically, exactly just a couple of years later, but so it holds up as far as I think it looks nice. The special effects are great. There's a scene where like this beautiful woman is like in dreamland with the kid who's she's like this nurse who's seducing him, and then she like has this nasty tongue, and then she spits these tongues out and like it ties him up to the bed like. So and those tongues look like amazing. Like, you know what I mean? So it looks great today. So it holds, there's nothing really offensive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as far as like, gay jokes or like, stuff that wouldn't be, wouldn't be very, as far as in the woke culture or anything like that, nothing I wouldn't say sticks out as far as that I saw. So, I mean, that holds up right there, and the story is entertaining and fun. I mean, what's wrong with rising up against the odds, against the bully or whatever, So, I would say absolutely.
All right, so I struggled with this a tad because it was a favorite of mine. I will say that in terms of Friday the sorry, in terms of they all kind of float into one after a while. In terms of Nightmare on Elm Street movies, yeah, I know, right? In terms of Nightmare on Elm Street, it is one of the better ones, right? So 1 and 3 definitely are really good. 2's, and then afterwards it kind of goes downhill. You end up just watching it for the gimmicks, for the gags. You don't even know what the movies are about after 4. I know the Dream Child is 5.
Dream
I know
Master
they
is
made
4.
that one like 8. Yeah, Dream Master is 4. Dream Child is 5. They made Dream Child like 8 months after 4 came out. Like they banged that one out fast, and you can tell. So anyway, let me get back to the point. The idea is great. Bringing the fight to Freddy was great. They're not going to stand in their laurels. They're going to go after him. The thing I struggled with, and it's not even the Freddy, because Freddy's good in this, and he's not Mr. Stand-Up yet, and he's not Mr. Comedian yet. He has the one-liners, but they're not that many. But the corny moments in this movie, I just couldn't, like, it was hard to stomach. I'm beautiful and bad. Or Kruger pussy, as Kincaid is wrecking the house. Or the green lightning bolts coming out of the wizard kid. Or I couldn't get over, I am the Dream Master. And I just couldn't get over. I wanted those, here's the problem. I wanted those really super corny scenes to end, and they're what makes the movie good. You get what I'm saying here? Like, it's the thing that I liked about it, the Misfits rising up, I couldn't take it when they finally rose up. Like, it was just it was so over the top corny that it was hard for me to get through it and not say to myself, oh my God, I liked this back in the day, and I couldn't do it. I don't think it'll stand up. I think kids that watch it now will think that's corny rather than think it's cool. Like, everybody thought that was cool back in the day just because of the nature of it. It was new for a Freddy movie. But I think now it's just like, I don't think they can get over the cheeseball factor. Like, it's so cheesy. It's so cheeseball.
I do have
and
a question.
I just...
Why did, he had the lightning bolt, the powers, right, to whip it at Freddy. Why can't he zap the wheelchair that's coming towards him?
I know, exactly. Right?
We
got a wheelchair that is the size of the hallway, and he can't zap it. He can't float. Well, you're a wizard, for Christ's sakes. Float. Turn it into a bunny. What? I mean, why? So that's my point, is that the thing that made it cool is so cheesy that I just couldn't get over it. So do I recommend this movie? Sure. I think it's a very stand-up horror movie. The kills in it are super good. They're not jokey. In 4, they become jokey. In 5, they become jokey. So there's still really good kills in it in terms of a horror movie. Freddy's really cool in it. But boy, it's so cheeseball sometimes. So for that, I'm going to say it doesn't hold up. Even though I like it, I don't think it holds up.
Did you ever notice in part 1 and 2, part 1 and 3, there are occasions where Robert Englund uses 2 different voices. He uses the "hello, how you doing?" like that, which is kind of basically his voice. Like his regular speaking voice, and then the other one is the the gritty, deeper. So he bounces back and forth. Like sometimes he does this thing. And then others, he's like, "Welcome to prime time, bitch."
Prime time, bitch.
So it's like totally 2 different. I don't know. It's just weird choices there. It's kind of cool though. So all right, man.
It's cool.
We'll wrap this up, and we'll take care
Cool,
of
man.
everybody. We also would like to ask you to do the 5-star request. So if you leave us a 5-star rating or review, and on that rating or review, I should say. Basically put in a request, and we'll see if we can we'll pick from those that do that, and we'll pick some films to review. So it'll be really fun.
Cool, man.
filmcrickets8099@gmail.com, and follow us on Twitter and all that shit.
All right, man.
Hey, listen, have a great week, folks, and we'll see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Crickets, chirp about movie.